Welcome back, denizens of the night, to V Rising. On the west side of Gloomrot South is a place called the Pools of Rebirth. It's a wide open area filled with Transcendum soldiers, mutants, and our next target, Angram the Purifier. Most of this area is out in the open. If you try to navigate it during the day, you're going to have a bad time. You'll want to clear out a large area first before fighting Angram. The best time to enter this area is right before the sun sets. The battle with Angram works quite differently depending on whether you're using melee or ranged attacks. Let's start with the guide on ranged attacks first. If you're at mid-range, Angram shoots a wave of Chaos Bolts in front of him. If you're at long range, Angram shoots 5 Chaos Bolts aimed on top of where you're standing. A good strategy in this fight is to stay at range, dodge the 5 Chaos Bolts, then attack with your ground-targeted ranged abilities before his next attack. You should pick your abilities based off of ones that won't trigger counterattacks. When he gets to about 75% health, he'll gain the ability to put up a shield. If you attack it, Chaos Bolts will fly in all directions. If you use abilities like the crossbow's Q ability, Blood Fountain, Ball Lightning, Ice Nova, or Bone Explosion, you won't trigger his counterattacks at all. As long as you attack him from the front, he's pretty predictable. Just keep dodging his Chaos Bolts while using your skills on him. At around 60% health, he gains a new ability. If you see him jump backwards, he is about to charge at you with a punch. You can either use a counterattack against this if you've equipped one, or use your dash ability for this specific attack.
Extermination! Guard protocol!
He does have one more ability from the start, but it's pretty rare to trigger it. Angram walks and turns very slowly. While most of the attacks you've seen are from the front, if you attack him from the side, he'll use an ability where he shoots Chaos Bolts in a spread pattern. The Chaos Spread can sometimes be easier to dodge than his bomb attacks, so it might even be easier to attack him from ranged from behind.
Burn in hell!
New knowledge acquired.
Upon defeat, you'll gain the Chaos Barrier counterskill and a few recipes for the Mutated Rat, Major Explosives, and the Irradiant Gruel. One of the major changes to Chaos Barrier is that it now pulls enemies in close when you successfully counter. This can be very powerful in some situations or make things more dangerous. If you recast the skill before it expires, you shoot an additional projectile at the end, which also can pull your enemies in. At the Vermin Nest, the Mutated Rat costs 3 Grave Dust and 1 sludge-filled canister if you're on alchemy flooring. Each rat yields about 10 mutant grease each. Irradiant Gruel is an interesting item. You can craft it at the alchemy table for 15 mutant grease and 15 plague briars. Plague briars are yellow flowers that can be found around Gloomrot. They kind of look like dandelions. If you have a prisoner whose blood you want to improve, you can take a risk and feed them some gruel in an attempt to boost it by a couple percentages. Keep in mind that the rate of failure is quite high, so use at your own risk. Despite the chaos flames you saw in this fight, there is a way to melee Angram. If you're within melee range of Angram, he really only uses one attack for most of the fight. He'll attack straight ahead once, then off to the side. Sidestep his first attack, then go back to the front for the second. You might be tempted to melee him from behind like you would with other bosses, but he has a defense against that. He shoots 2 Chaos Orbs, making it very difficult to continue attacking him from there. During these attacks, he'll step forward slightly, so you will need to back up a little bit as you do this. With practice, you can dodge his attacks completely, then give him a couple stabs in between. For this strategy, I like using the Spear. Its Q ability can stun him briefly, and its E ability can be used to reposition him later if there's Chaos Flames around him. You'll also want both Bloodright and Frost Barrier for counterattacking, and Veil of Blood for last-minute dodges and healing. As you poke away at his health, he'll eventually unlock his shielding ability. If you lose track of the pattern of his attacks, use your counter skills against him until you get back into the rhythm. If his shield is up in the front, keep dodging without attacking, and wait for it to expire. Ideally, and this requires some timing and practice, you want to trick him into using his back shield. That way, you can continue the fight as you have been from the beginning. When Angram jumps away, he's about to use his charge ability. Make sure to use one of your counterattacks to stop him when he does this.
I become death. I am invincible. I will destroy it.
Later on, Angram will use a Ground Crush attack. It's a new attack you'll mostly see only when at close range. If you see it, you're going to have to back off. This is where the Spear's E ability comes in. Avoid the slam, draw him in with your spear, and then continue meleeing. You may need to counter his first attack since your rhythm might be off here. To reiterate, this strategy requires a lot of patience. If you're the type to button mash melee, it probably isn't going to work.
Destroy everything! Infestation! Extermination! I am invincible! Burn in hell!
I feel stronger.
There is another trick to Angram I want to show you. Angram does not handle line of sight issues very well. In the Pools of Rebirth, there are a lot of these indestructible towers. If you fight Angram while hiding behind one of these, he basically can't fight back and it becomes a one-sided fight. You will have to watch out for his dashing punches though. There are a lot of mutants that spawn in this area. You can also wait for mutants to ambush him, then you can start the fight with him at less health. It's rare, but if you catch him fighting one of those gargantuan mutants, it can sometimes take him down to half health for you or even more. This fight has a lot of options to it, so pick the one that suits you best and remember to keep moving. Be sure to carry several Blood Rose potions with you in case you take damage. Until then, bloodsuckers, good night.